The Shadow in the Marsh. In the small, fog-draped town of Willow's End, tales of the Marsh Whisperer were as old as the town itself. The legend spoke of a shadowy creature that roamed the edges of Mistvale Marsh, a sprawling wetland that swallowed sound and left even the bravest in a state of unease. 12-year-old Clara never believed the stories. Her father, a biologist, had always said, "Every legend has a logical explanation." But as winter deepened and the marsh's fog grew thicker, whispers among the townsfolk became louder. Livestock had gone missing, strange tracks were found near the edges of the marsh, and at night there were unsettling sounds, like a low hum, almost a voice calling from the reeds. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon and painted the sky in hues of crimson, Clara sat by her bedroom window, watching the marsh. She had a notebook in hand, sketching the swirling patterns of mist. Just as she finished shading in a particularly dense patch of fog, she saw it. A movement, faint and quick. It darted through the reeds, a shape too large to be a bird and too fluid to be human. Her heart raced. Grabbing her father's flashlight and her thick woolen coat, Clara decided to investigate. She scribbled a quick note for her father, who was working late at the university, and stepped into the icy evening air. The marsh was eerily quiet, save for the occasional rustle of reeds swaying in the breeze. Clara's boots squelched in the damp ground as she followed the faint outline of the track she'd seen earlier in the day. Three-toed, webbed, and larger than her own hand. As she ventured deeper, the hum began. At first it was soft, almost imperceptible, like the buzzing of a distant insect, but it grew louder, resonating in her chest. Clara stopped in her tracks, her breath visible in the frigid air. The sound wasn't random, it was rhythmic, almost melodic. Her flashlight beam caught something glinting ahead. She moved closer, her pulse pounding. There, half submerged in a pool of stagnant water, was a strange, crystalline object. It pulsed faintly, its light synchronized with the humming. Clara knelt to inspect it, but before she could touch it, a shadow loomed over her. She turned slowly, the beam of her flashlight trembling as it landed on the creature. It stood over 7 feet tall, its body covered in sleek black scales that shimmered faintly like oil on water. Its eyes were large and luminous, reflecting the pale light like twin moons. It had long, slender limbs ending in webbed claws, and its head was crowned with ridges that seemed to vibrate in time with the hum. Clara froze, every instinct telling her to run, but something in the creature's gaze held her in place. It tilted its head, the hum shifting in tone as though it were studying her. Slowly, it extended a clawed hand toward the crystalline object. Without thinking, Clara stepped back, but she tripped on a root and fell. The creature paused, then crouched low, placing the crystal in its palm. The hum grew louder, enveloping the marsh in a strange, soothing resonance. Clara's fear ebbed, replaced by curiosity. She reached for her notebook, her movements slow and deliberate. She sketched the creature's silhouette, its otherworldly form. The creature watched her, its eyes flickering between her and the notebook. When she finished, she held up the sketch as if to show it. To her surprise, the creature let out a low, melodic trill, a sound that felt like approval. It stood, the crystal glowing brighter in its hand, and then with a sudden burst of motion it leapt into the air and vanished into the fog, leaving only ripples in the water. When Clara returned home, she found her father waiting, worry etched on his face. She showed him the sketch and recounted the encounter. He listened, his scientific skepticism warring with the sincerity in her voice. Though he promised to look into the tracks and investigate the marsh, he cautioned her to stay away. But Clara knew what she had seen was no ordinary animal. Over the next few weeks, she returned to the marsh, hoping for another glimpse of the creature. Though she never saw it again, she found more crystals, each humming faintly with a rhythm that felt alive. As she grew older, Clara became a renowned biologist, dedicating her career to studying the mysteries of Mistvale Marsh. The townsfolk's whispers of the Marsh Whisperer continued, but Clara knew the truth. The creature wasn't just a legend, it was a guardian, a keeper of something ancient and unknown. And sometimes when the fog was thickest and the night was quiet, she could still hear the hum,